Thanks everyone for such an overwhelming response on the first episode. A total of 0 listeners is indeed inspiring. At this rate, I might be able to catch Joe Rogan Experience podcasts soon. Nevertheless, the objective here is to share my reflections on topics and over a long journey of episodes, maybe have some quality content out there. And the format still remains the same. I reflect on a certain topic on the given day, and the topic is depends on what I am thinking over that week and find something interesting. But before we go to that reflection point, I wanted to also share a funny conversation my wife and I had. My wife read a joke online, and it goes something like this. Dad, why do everyone think that we are from Asia? I heard a kid say we all look alike. And then the man says, I don't know, kid. Why do they do that? But I'm not your dad. And I laughed harder than I should have on this joke, mainly because my wife's delivery was much better than mine. I butchered it, but I found it funny. I wanted to share it. Anyways, the topic I wanted to reflect today is my decade of work experience and what I've learned from it. What I've felt and noted here is that culture plays a significant role in at least in my work life. It reflects how people think, how they respond to a certain question, how they behave with one another or with their colleagues, how they respond to, for example, an email. It varies a lot with culture, and that's what I have observed over several years working with different cultures. So diversity brings in a great blend of knowledge into everyday work life, which is a good thing and a bad thing. And diversity is a super complex topic, at least in my mind, and I'm sure there would be studies which talks about how different cultures influence a work environment and also the amount of work that gets done also varies with the influence of culture. Maybe I want to start this reflection with some negative aspects that I have observed working with different cultures. And maybe after that, we'll go to some positive aspects. So one of the negative aspects that I have observed is whenever I am in a meeting and trying to express my thoughts and ideas, I don't like getting interrupted. However, what I've observed is when I worked with certain cultures, it's innate in their mind that they have to speak every thought out. It's not that you hold back the thoughts. It's not their fault, but it's how what I've observed is it's how they are brought up. And it's what people do around them that influences this. So they have to speak their mind out. And whenever I'm trying to express my ideas, and someone tries to interrupt me, it is quite a disturbing. Sorry for the background noise. It's quite disturbing, at least for me. So that's one of the negative aspects that I have observed. The second one would be respect for time or punctuality. The ability to start and stop a meeting at a defined time frame also varies with cultures. I've had meetings wherein the time of the meeting varies or extends, for example, 5 minutes to 20 minutes in that time frame or in that range. And then the host of the meeting there's no apology or acknowledgement that there's a break of agreement between the time that has been consumed with different participants. It's like time bends differently with culture. And then the other one would be working, like not able to differentiate between personal and professional life. Well, there is a fine line between culture and people who are passionate. There's also that, but what I've observed personally is I've worked with certain cultures wherein they're not able to differentiate between personal and professional life. Like for example, calling colleagues out of business hours and expecting them to respond or to reciprocate or to conversate with the individuals. Able to send emails late at night and expecting an answer early in the morning. These are some of the things that I have observed varies with cultures. Some of the positive aspects which I feel are the flexibility. So if there is a problem that needs to be broken down, I think culturally, like there are different ways in which people approach for solving problems, and that if you have a mixed blend of cultures in your team, I think it gives you the right flexibility in breaking down or approaching a problem. The second one, which has influenced me significantly, is humor. In my opinion, there are certain cultures wherein humor is considered as a huge influence in a work life. The funnier you are, the more doors you can open and the more things you can solve. And also the level of threshold for accepting a joke varies with culture. So it can be both positive and negative thing, but I have observed in my work life that humor brings in a lot of value, like calms people down and helps them bond as a team, and work together and also solve a lot of problems. This is the cultural angle. The second would be language. I come from a place wherein my mother tongue is spoken in a very or in a smaller community. So when I initially started working, I had to learn the regional language. This is back in India. And knowing regional language helps a lot in building connections and also solving complex problems effectively. There are certain cultures wherein exchange of information happens over a cup of tea, a smoke, a party on weekends, a casual walk, or lunch talks. And I've seen people, like knowing regional language helps you be a part of this community wherein people would go for a smoke with you, conversate in a regional language, invite you for a parties on a weekend, and exchange critical work-related informations. And this varies across cultures, but I have worked with certain cultures wherein critical informations are shared more in these sorts of unofficial meetings than in the official meetings. The second thing, or apart from language, there's also office timing, or the time at which you start working. That also has a big influence in your daily life. For me specifically, when I started my career, I had a working time from 11:30 in the morning to 7 in the evening. So basically the early mornings So my days and nights were like mishmashed, and I felt that the whole day was wasted, and even the nights were wasted. So I couldn't have something that I could do like a personal project, because when I came back at 7, there was nothing left: cook, eat, and sleep. But now my work timing starts at 8 in the morning and ends at 4 or maybe 3:30, and suddenly I have evenings, um, wherein I can do something or spend time with family, and that plays a big part um, in the work life too. In addition to this, I feel education system is also does play a huge part in the work life. I feel it's a bit of a stretch, but this is just my opinion based on my observations. I was brought up in an education system where exam results were given much more importance than logical thinking or the ability to ask the right questions. Um, and because education systems where the exams were given such a high importance, there was competition that was baked in early into the education cycle. And I feel this influences who you are as an individual. Like, it can either boost your confidence if you're doing good in the education cycle, or it can bring you down if you're not so good at it. But it doesn't let you think freely and ask stupid questions, or ask questions wherein you can be able to like logically form an answer. For example, I was just fed 1 plus 1 is 2, rather than saying why it can't be 3. So this also plays a significant role in the work life, I feel, because the way you think during this education system is also extended in your work life, and the ability to solve problems gets reflected based on how you solve it in your education system. Yeah, so I think this is what I could reflect um, on a decade of my work life experiences. And again, this is just my personal opinion, and it would be interesting to argue with someone over all these points, or even listen to other people's opinion on this. And if you feel that you have a strong opinion, please do leave a comment in the Spotify comment section. Before I end this, and if you're still listening to it, I wanted to share something interesting that popped in my mind while I was reflecting on this topic, and this also gives you a flavor about how the podcast is. My thoughts jump around, and then this question popped in my mind: why is it called tomato ketchup and not tomato sauce or something else? What's the meaning of the word ketchup? Again, then I googled it as usual, and the word ketchup originates from this Chinese word called Ketchup. Maybe I'm butchering it, but which is referred to a fermented fish sauce popular in South Asia. And European traders encountered this sauce likely in South Asia and brought it back, eventually adapting it to a local taste and ingredients. And over the time, it evolved into what we know as tomato-based ketchup today. So that was a interesting information that I had. Anyways, so that's it for today's Zone to Talk. It was a bit of a work, a bit of a culture, and a bit of a catch-up, all smushed together. Just like what you do when you do a Zone 2 run. You don't have one topic throughout your run. You just hop between topics and try to run as long as you can. And thanks for listening, everyone. As usual, thank you in Danish, tak, and Jai Hind.